The Legend of the Border Chef. 1. On the day Lu Kyun married into the Lee family, the weather was so gloomy that it was about to fall like lead rain. Her heart was full of apprehension, but she was also looking forward to the warmth of her new life. Before she lifted her hijab, the news poured down like ice water. The groom Lee Hokan had an accident on the way and was soul broken. 3 years of widowhood began. Lu Kyun gets up early and returns late every day, busy before and after, filial piety to her parents-in-law, without complaint or regret. Even so, in the dead of night, she often secretly shed tears, missing her husband, whom she would never have time to know. _ 2. 3 years later, Lu Kyun made a major decision, to leave the Lee family and go to the border to seek a new life. She packed her bags and only brought a few pieces of clothing and some dry food, feeling both excited and apprehensive. The scene at the border was completely different from the small town in Gyeongnan she was familiar with, desolate, cold wind, and dust. When she first saw the border barracks, the entire camp was like a corner forgotten by the world, with rough wooden houses, mottled tents, and the cold shouts of the sergeants, but it gave birth to an inexplicable expectation in her heart. _ 3. Lu Kyun's first job was as a cook in the barracks. The salary is not low and relatively free, which is a luxury for her. However, she soon discovered a problem: the food in the barracks was simply hard to swallow. Breakfast is cold whole grain porridge with pickles, and lunch and dinner are hard to break teeth with dried meat and sour kimchi. When she tried it for the first time, she almost threw up. She gritted her teeth secretly. This is the path I chose, and I must stick to it no matter what. _ 4. Lu Kyun began to try to improve the food. She secretly went to the backyard to plant some small vegetables and occasionally got some fresh ingredients from the soldiers' supply boxes. Although her cooking skills are ordinary, she has amazing creativity. She slowly simmered the dried meat in soup and added a small amount of spices, which made a delicious broth. The soldiers began to notice this strange fragrance, and even some bold and careful soldiers secretly asked her about the secret recipe. Lu Kyun smiled secretly in her heart. This difficult border may be the real stage of her life. _ 5. However, hard days don't just come from ingredients. The camp is full of all kinds of rules and unspoken rules. Soldiers love to fight, officers often give strange orders for no reason, and the most terrifying thing is, the desolation of the night and the unmonitored border forest. There are always eerie sounds that make people creepy. When Lu Kyun was on night duty for the first time, he heard a wolf's howl and an unknown low roar in the distance, and his heart tightened. She gritted her teeth, stood under the light with a kitchen knife in her hand, and said to herself, no matter how difficult it is, I have to live and let myself live a wonderful life. 6. Lu Kyun had to get up earlier than the soldiers every morning. Before dawn, she was already busy in the kitchen, choosing dry food, making soup, and cleaning pots. The cold wind poured in through the cracks in the dilapidated wooden windows, and her hands were white from the cold water, but she didn't stop. On this day, she decided to try making a hot porridge with leftover dry food and some pickles, adding a little herbs picked from the backyard. As a result, the first pot was unexpectedly appreciated by the soldiers. Chef Lu, you porridge eats much better than the previous day. An old soldier named Chin Taicheng said with a smile, with a hint of seriousness in his eyes. Lu Kyun's heart warmed up and she smiled secretly. Perhaps, as long as you put your heart into it, even the hardest life can find a small hope. However, the problem doesn't stop there. Quarrels and fights often occurred in the camp, and some soldiers were drunk and foolish, and even rude to the cook. Although Lu Kyun is timid, after 3 years of widowhood, she has learned how to deal with crises with calmness. _ 7. One night, Lu Kyun was sorting out ingredients in the kitchen when he suddenly heard something unusual outside the tent. Under the moonlight, a tall figure was quietly approaching, holding a long knife in his hand. Lu Kyun's heart beat like a drum, but she didn't panic, took out a knife from her waist and held it tightly in her hand. Who? She asked in a low voice. The man did not answer, but the footsteps were getting closer and closer. At this moment, a low shout, "Stop!" Qin Tai-cheng appeared with several soldiers and captured the suspicious figure. Lu Qun breathed a sigh of relief, secretly admiring the veteran's sensitivity in her heart, and realized for the first time that the night at the border was far more dangerous than she imagined. Underscore 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 un. 8. Lu Qun decided to improve the food more carefully. Starting from the tastes of the soldiers, she experimented with various pairing methods, slowly stewing dried meat into soup, cooking it with vegetables into porridge, and even trying to improve the taste with wild herbs. The first time she tried it, she secretly brought the small hot pot to the veteran Qin Tai-cheng. Qin Tai-cheng frowned, and after taking a bite, his eyes suddenly lit up. "Chef Lu, your skills are. It seems a bit interesting." This greatly increased Lu Qun's confidence, and she secretly made up her mind, not only to survive at the border, but also to win the respect of the soldiers with a pair of skillful hands. However, the camp environment is still difficult. The ingredients are limited, the heat is unstable, and even insects and rats often break into the kitchen. Lu Qun challenges her endurance and creativity every day, and gradually, she finds that she is not just cooking, but more like competing with fate. Underscore 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 un. 9. One morning, Lu Qun stumbled upon a batch of dry food that had been neglected for a long time hidden in a dilapidated warehouse in the corner of the camp. She secretly moves back to the kitchen and uses these ingredients to make more hearty meals than ever before. This time, even the company commander nodded and praised, "This meal is a bit like the taste of home." Lu Qun felt an unprecedented sense of accomplishment, but she knew that the real challenge was yet to come. The camp is far more complex than she imagined, every soldier has secrets, and dangers can be hidden around every corner. At night, the wind blew through the camp, she sat by the fire, looking at the starry sky, and secretly made up her mind, no matter how hard or difficult it is, she must persevere to make her life wonderful and give this desolate place a warm taste. Underscore 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 un. 10. Just as Lu Qun was gradually adapting to life, a strange thing happened in the camp. There were inexplicably more strange spices and medicinal herbs in the dry food sent every day. Some people whispered that it was the spiritual grass in the border mountains, which could enhance physical strength and improve the taste. Lu Qun curiously added it to the stew, and the soup was fragrant, and the soldiers nodded and praised it again and again. However, she knew in her heart that these spices were of unknown origin and could be dangerous. She decided to secretly investigate the source and remain vigilant. The border is not only difficult, but also full of unknowns, and if Lu Qun wants to survive here, he must become wiser and more courageous. On this night, she stood on the high platform of the camp, looking at the desolate mountains in the distance, secretly vowing in her heart that this wilderness would one day be full of life because of her existence. 11. Lu Qun gradually became famous in the camp, not only because she could make unswallowing dry food delicious, but also because of her courage and calmness. When soldiers encounter small frictions, they often secretly turn to her. One morning, an emergency whistle suddenly sounded from the camp, saying that a wild wolf had broken into a nearby supply line. Lu Qun immediately picked up a kitchen knife and torch and went to guard with several soldiers. At night, she saw wolves wandering on the hillside in the distance, their fur glowing coolly in the moonlight. Lu Qun took a deep breath and analyzed calmly in his heart, as long as you control the direction and sound of the torches, you can drive them away. Sure enough, the wolves slowly retreated in the fire and the shouts of the soldiers. For the first time, Lu Qun felt that his courage and wisdom could save people from danger in critical moments. Underscore 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 un. 12. As time passed, Lu Qun discovered that someone in the camp was secretly dissatisfied with her. Someone sneaks small obstacles in her cookware, such as dusting a little more or damaging the seasoning, in an attempt to make her mistake. She did not rush to fight back, but quietly observed and found flaws. Every time someone tries to interfere, she is able to resolve it without revealing her identity. Lu Qun thought to himself, this is not only the border, but also the frontier of people's hearts. If you want to gain a foothold here, you must not only be able to cook, but also be able to see through people's hearts. At night, while she was sorting out the ingredients in the dimly lit kitchen, she suddenly heard soft footsteps. She quickly hid in the shadows and saw a soldier carefully putting down some fresh vegetables and spices before disappearing. Lu Qun's heart was shocked. It turned out that someone was secretly supporting her. She smiled slightly, secretly determined to find this mysterious person and see what secrets were hidden behind it. Underscore 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 un. 13. Lu Qun's fame gradually spread, and even the captain began to pay attention to her. One day, the captain suddenly sent her to the back mountain to collect wild vegetables and warned her, although there are good ingredients there have been bandits recently, so be careful. Lu Qun did not flinch. She took a knife and a torch and walked along the rugged mountain road. The grass was overgrown, and the branches and leaves slapped on the face, like a silent test. Suddenly, a dilapidated wooden box caught her attention, and there was a shimmering jade pendant hidden inside. Lu Qun was shocked, picked it up and examined it carefully. This jade pendant seemed to be related to the ancient legend of the border defenders. At night, she returned to the camp and hid the jade pendant, secretly wondering in her heart, is this jade pendant lucky or a harbinger of hidden danger? That night, she dreamed of a wilderness with strange lights shining in the sky, as if someone was calling her to explore. Underscore 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 un. 14. The next day, chaotic news came from the camp. The patrol outside the border encountered a sudden sandstorm, and some supply trucks were forced to stall. Lu Qun immediately proposed to improve the food ingredients and mix the remaining dry food with some wild vegetables to make nutritious porridge for the soldiers to prepare for emergencies. After the soldiers tasted the porridge she cooked, they nodded one after another, saying that it was much better than the dry food a few days ago. Lu Qun was secretly happy in her heart, knowing that she could truly exert her value at the border. At night, Lu Qun sat in front of the tent, looking at the sand and dust in the sky, and had some doubts in his heart. This side of the pass, it seems desolate on the surface, but in fact the undercurrent is turbulent. The people, things, and even the wind here are full of unknowns. At this moment, a low horn sound came from afar, making the camp soldiers nervous. Lu Qun clenched the kitchen knife and made up her mind, no matter how dangerous it is ahead, she will protect this wilderness and protect those who trust her. Underscore 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 un. 15. As the days passed, Lu Qun gradually rose to prominence in the kitchen, not only improving her food, but also learning how to make nutritious meals with limited resources. The soldiers gradually respected her and even secretly sent her some supplies or tokens of appreciation during her breaks. However, strange things continue to happen at the border. Strange whispers sometimes come from the camp at night, and the flames in the kitchen occasionally go out inexplicably and ignite on their own, as if someone is secretly watching. Lu Qun responded calmly, and she gradually understood that this desolate land was not only a geographical danger, but also a world full of mysterious forces and unknown challenges. On this day, she looked at the starry sky in the camp and secretly decided in her heart, no matter how fierce the wind and sand are or how fierce the wolves are, she must gain a foothold here and find out the secrets hidden here. 16. Every morning, she would check the ingredients and cooking utensils along the camp path to ensure that the soldiers' meals were prepared on time. The cold wind was biting, but she had long been used to it, leaving only perseverance and concentration on her face. One day, while cleaning wild vegetables in the backyard, she accidentally found a dilapidated wooden box with several seemingly ordinary stones hidden inside. Lu Qun picked it up and examined it carefully, and found that the surface of the stone was faintly shining with blue light, as if it was contained by some power. Could it be the legendary spirit stone? She thought to herself. Lu Qun carefully hid them in the corner of the kitchen and decided to keep them secret for the time being to observe their use. At night, whispers from soldiers came from the camp, and it seemed that someone had noticed something unusual. Lu Qun silently guarded by the window, secretly vigilant in his heart. This border is not only wind and sand and wilderness, but also full of unknown forces and conspiracies. Underscore 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 un. 17. Lu Qun's cooking skills are becoming more and more popular with soldiers, but she also begins to face new challenges. Some soldiers are jealous of her, often picky in meals, and even deliberately provoke skirmishes. Instead of being provoked, she responded calmly. Every time there was a conflict, she skillfully resolved it, quietly maintaining order in the camp, and even secretly observing who was the one who truly supported her. Late one night, a strange low voice suddenly sounded in the camp, like the sound of the wind and the voice of a person. Lu Qun held a kitchen knife, quietly walked out of the kitchen, and followed the sound to the sentry tower at the border. Under the moonlight, she saw a figure flash by, leaving a strange symbol carved on a wooden pillar. Lu Qun was alert in his heart. In this wilderness, it seems that there are not only wolves and wind and sand, but also people secretly laying it out. Underscore 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 un. 18. Lu Qun decided to trace the source of the symbol. During the day, she secretly observed activities around the camp, and at night, she cooked soup in the kitchen, thinking about how to keep herself and her soldiers safe. She found that these symbols were similar to the guardian formation in the ancient legend of the border, which is said to affect luck and victory or defeat on the battlefield. Lu Qun secretly made up her mind, no matter what, she wanted to solve this mystery so that she and her soldiers would no longer be threatened by unknown forces. During a late-night inspection, she accidentally encountered a mysterious hermit with long hair and a shawl, and his eyes were deep, as if he could see through people's hearts. The hermit whispered, "Little chef, you shouldn't just cook, your fate has a greater relationship with this border." Lu Qun was stunned, her heart was shaken, she knew that her ordinary life would be involved in unprecedented waves. Underscore 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 un. 19. As the days passed, Lu Qun's position in the camp gradually stabilized. She not only improved the soldiers' food, but also secretly helped the soldiers organize supplies and improve combat efficiency. When an emergency supply is attacked by a wild dog, she quickly leads her squad to set traps and protect food and soldiers. The soldiers looked at her with admiration and even began to secretly admire her courage and wisdom. Lu Qun smiled secretly in her heart, it turns out that the challenge given to her by fate is the stage to hone her. At night, in the tent, she silently sorted out the stone and symbolic notes, thinking about how to combine ancient power with her own wisdom. The wind in the wilderness seems to whisper, "Everything here will change because of you." Underscore 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 un. 20. Lu Qun decided to try combining ancient symbols with ingredients to create a soup that could enhance the soldiers' mental strength. She carefully controlled the heat and slowly released the spirit stone energy through the soup. On the first try, after the soldiers drank the soup, their spirits were lifted, and their fatigue seemed to disappear temporarily, and even the officer couldn't help but praise, "Chef Lu, your soup is. It works better than any military doctor's medicine." Lu Qun was secretly excited in her heart, this was not just a meal, but also a kind of strength, she finally realized that she could create miracles in this wilderness. However, she is also well aware that this power attracts more attention, not only with good intentions, but also with danger. The night at the border was still cold and desolate, and the unknown challenge had just begun. 21. Lu Qun's popularity in the camp is growing, but she discovers that someone is secretly monitoring her movements. At night, she found shadows flickering outside the kitchen, as if someone was secretly recording her every move. She thought calmly and secretly set up a temptation. Next to the soup pot, she pretended to be distracted and watched if the shadow was approaching. Sure enough, a mysterious soldier quietly appeared, holding a pamphlet in his hand, and whispered, "Chef Lu, I just want to learn your craft." Lu Qun's heart warmed, but he remained vigilant. "Since you want to learn, you have to abide by the rules." During the day, she began to instruct the soldier in simple cooking skills, secretly observing his motives. Lu Qun knew in his heart that this border was not only naturally sinister, but also sinister in people's hearts. Underscore 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 un. 22. One day, a superior officer suddenly came to inspect the border, and the entire camp fell into tension. Lu Qun was temporarily asked to prepare a sumptuous meal to show the morale and management skills of the camp. She carefully selected the ingredients, made soup with spirit stones and wild vegetables, and turned the dry food into a feast with good color and flavor. Soldiers were also mobilized to help with plating and serving dishes. After tasting it, the inspector nodded repeatedly, "Although this camp is desolate, the management and morale are good, and the chef is indispensable." Lu Qun secretly breathed a sigh of relief in his heart, but he also understood that such praise meant more responsibility and more people watching. At night, she was sorting out the pots and pans in the kitchen, and the shadow in the moonlight seemed to remind her that the risks of the border were far more dangerous than what appeared on the surface. Underscore 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 un. 23. Lu Qun's daily life is broken again. A mysterious thief appears near the camp and steals some supplies at night. The soldiers were nervous, and the atmosphere in the camp was tense. Lu Qun thought to himself, "These thieves may be able to find a breakthrough in the meal, or they may take advantage of the chaos. She decided to take the initiative, secretly arranging traps, using spices and stones to guide the thieves into a safe area, and informing the soldiers of an ambush. At night, after a commotion, the thieves were arrested, and some soldiers praised her for her wit. Lu Qun smiled, but knew in his heart, this wilderness, the real crisis, will never stop. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Two recorded When she was sorting out the ingredients, she found an ancient scroll falling in the corner of the kitchen, recording the secret methods and legends of the ancient border defenders. The scroll mentions that there is a hidden ancient battlefield deep in the border, which contains mysterious powers that can change the battle situation in people's hearts. Lu Qun's heart was shaken, and she realized that she and the fate of this wilderness had long been closely linked. At night, she secretly read the scroll, trying to understand the meaning of the symbols and formations in it. She understands that if this power is used skillfully, it can not only protect herself and her soldiers, but may also change the fate of the entire camp. ________________________________________________________________________________________________________ 25. One night, she quietly took a knife, a torch, and some dry food and walked along an ancient mountain road. In the wilderness, the moonlight reflected a desolate scene, with branches and leaves rustling, like whispers and warnings. Lu Qun knew in her heart that this exploration might be extremely dangerous, but she did not flinch. Going deeper into the valley, she saw a flickering light in the distance, like a flame but without smoke. Lu Qun held his breath and approached quietly, finding mysterious runes flashing in the ruins of the ancient battlefield. At this moment, she felt that her fate was closely intertwined with this wilderness, and the desolate land might gradually be filled with miracle and power because of her existence. 26. Lu Qun walked along the rune flashes of the ancient battlefield, stepping on the weeds and gravel with every step, making a slight noise. She felt a strange energy in the air, as if there were invisible eyes watching her. Suddenly, a gust of wind rolled up the sand and gravel, causing her to almost fall. She stabilized her figure, and the torch in her hand swayed slightly, reflecting the mottled ancient wall in the distance. Lu Qun was secretly vigilant in his heart, this is not just an ancient battlefield, but more like a labyrinth of power. She explored along the runes and found strange patterns carved on the ground, as if guiding her forward. With every step, she felt both excited and nervous, and she realized that the secrets in this wilderness were far deeper than she had imagined. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ 27. Lu Qun found a hidden stone cave in the ancient battlefield, with ancient symbols engraved on the entrance, as if warning intruders. She took a deep breath and mustered up the courage to walk into the hole. The cave was cold and damp, and the faint light illuminated the ancient murals on the walls. The murals depict warriors, mythical beasts, and flames, as well as mysterious symbols of power shimmering with glow. Lu Qun reached out and touched the symbol, feeling a warm current flowing into his body along his arm, as if he was recognized by an ancient force. Her heart vibrated, this ancient battlefield can actually resonate with me. Just as she was concentrating on studying the symbols, there was a sound of low footsteps outside the stone cave, as if someone was approaching. Lu Qun quickly hid in the shadows, holding the knife tightly, knowing in his heart that the danger of the border was never really far away. ___________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Two 28. The next day, Lu Qun returned to the camp with what she saw and felt, and she recorded the clues of the ancient battlefield in a notebook, secretly analyzing the relationship between symbols and ingredients. She tried to combine ancient talismans with cooking to create a pot of soup with a unique aroma and a boosting morale. After the soldiers drank it, they were in high spirits and morale, and the company captain secretly nodded in praise. However, with it comes a new challenge. Someone begins to inquire about her soup secret, and even secretly tries to steal runes and stone cave clues. Lu Qun responded calmly and cleverly resolved it every time, not only to protect secrets, but also to maintain a relationship with the soldiers. At night, she sat in front of the tent, looking at the starry sky, and thought to herself, this border is desolate and mysterious, and how will she write a legend in this wilderness? ____________________________________________________________________________________________ 29. Lu Qun gradually became an indispensable figure in the camp, but he also attracted secret jealousy. Someone secretly destroys her ingredients at night in an attempt to make her fail. Instead of panicking, she cleverly devised countermeasures, swapping perishable ingredients for simulated products, allowing the saboteurs to reap the consequences. That night, the saboteur found that the ingredients were the same and panicked, while Lu Qun secretly wrote down the other party's whereabouts. She understands that the wilderness is not only a test of survival, but also of wisdom and psychology. Every power and every decision is the watershed between life and death, victory and defeat. Late at night, she sat alone in front of the kitchen, looking through the notes of the ancient battlefield, and secretly made up her mind, no matter how fierce the wind and sand are or how fierce the wolves are, she will protect this camp and protect those who trust her. Underscore 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 un. 30. Just as Lu Qun was immersed in thinking about the ancient battlefield and camp management, an abnormal alarm suddenly came from the border. Smoke appeared in the distant mountains, as if someone was lighting a campfire in the wild. She immediately contacted the soldiers and took a few people to investigate. On the way, she felt a strange aura, and the sound of the wind seemed to be mixed with whispers, like the ghosts of the ancient battlefield telling secrets. Near the smoke, she saw a group of strange armed men resting by the campfire, their eyes wary and fierce. Lu Qun's heart tightened, but calmly analyzed the terrain and fire, and arranged for soldiers to ambush. In the night, a silent contest quietly unfolded. Lu Qun clenched the soup spoon and knife in her hand, laughing secretly in her heart. The night at the border has never been so exciting and dangerous, and she will create her own legend in it. 31. Lu Qun led the soldiers to quietly approach the campfire of the strange armed man and found that the other party was discussing a plan and seemed to be preparing to rob the camp supplies. She calmly analyzed in her heart, and took advantage of the night and terrain to arrange for soldiers to outflank from both sides, while she quietly lurked at a high place to observe. The night wind howled, the flames flickered, and Lu Qun's eyes were as sharp as eagles. When the enemy was slightly distracted, she decisively ordered an attack, and the soldiers cooperated tacitly to surround the enemy. After a brief but thrilling capture operation, the enemy fell into the hands of the camp, and Lu Qun relied on his wisdom and judgment to successfully protect the supplies. Late at night, she stood outside the tent, looking at the mountains in the distance, thinking to herself, this border is not only wilderness and wind and sand, but also full of calculations and crises, and she must learn to control everything. Underscore 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 un. 32. As the incident subsided, Lu Qun's reputation became more prominent in the camp, but it also attracted the jealousy and conspiracy of new enemies. Someone stole the rune stones in the kitchen at night, trying to claim the power she had for herself. Lu Qun noticed something was wrong and secretly set a trap, and sure enough, someone tried to break in that night. She cleverly uses the reflection of torches and stones to scare away intruders and find out the core of the secret plan from the other party's whereabouts. Lu Qun understands that the battle in this wilderness is not only a collision of swords and guns, but also a contest of wisdom and psychology. She began to train herself systematically, integrating cooking, runes and tactics to gradually build her own power. Underscore 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 un. 33. One night, Lu Qun received a hint from a mysterious person who guided her to a cave deeper in the ancient battlefield. The cave was dimly lit, and the air was filled with mystery, as if every stone contained ancient power. She carefully explored and found that the symbols on the wall were highly consistent with the runes of the ancient battlefield before, but this time the arrangement was more complex, like an ancient energy formation. Lu Qun recorded the runes and tried to inject their energy into cooking, and the resulting soup could inspire weak strength and courage in the soldiers. She was secretly excited. This is not only food, but also a kind of power, which may change the situation of the border battle. Underscore 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 un. 34. Just as Lu Qun was immersed in the study of runes on the ancient battlefield, something abnormal happened in the camp. Fireworks and knife light appeared in the distant valley. It turned out that a powerful rebel army had sneaked into the border in an attempt to seize supplies and runes. Lu Qun quickly organized defense. She used runes and special soup made from dishes to improve the soldiers' physical strength and vigilance, and arranged traps and terrain advantages to introduce the rebels into the encirclement step by step. In the fierce confrontation, Lu Qun skillfully commanded and personally repelled some of the rebels, and her courage and wisdom doubled the soldiers' confidence. Under the night, the wind howled in the wilderness, and Lu Qun's figure stood above the camp like a guardian. 35. After the battle, the morale of the camp was greatly boosted, and the soldiers paid tribute to Lu Qun. The captain patted her on the shoulder and said, "You are not only a chef, but also our patron saint." Lu Qun smiled slightly, but he knew in his heart that this was just the beginning of many challenges at the border. The secrets, runic powers, and potential rebellions of the ancient battlefield have not yet been fully revealed. At night, she stood alone on the high platform, looking at the starry sky in the distance, secretly determined in her heart, no matter how fierce the wind and sand are and how deep the danger is, she must control this wilderness, protect the camp, and protect those who trust her. In the wilderness, under the moonlight, she is like the true master of the border, resolute, intelligent and brave. 36. Lu Qun's exploration in the ancient battlefield became more and more in-depth, and she discovered that the runes were not just decorations, but a network of energy, connected to the surrounding mountains, wind direction, and even the moonlight. One night, she experimented with the combination of runes and cooking in the valley, and the soup steamed up a blue mist on the flames, and the soldiers drank it, greatly increasing their strength and alertness. Lu Qun was secretly shocked in his heart. It turns out that the power of the ancient battlefield is not only a legend, but can really affect people's hearts and bodies. However, the runic power has also attracted the attention of other coveters. At night, she felt the shadows stirring in the valley, as if someone was secretly watching. Lu Qun clenched the knife and prepared to take on new challenges. _______________________________________________________________________________________________________37. There was also instability within the camp, and a soldier, jealous of Lu Qun's reputation, secretly contacted foreign forces in an attempt to seize the runes and ancient battlefield secrets. Lu Qun noticed something unusual and secretly arranged traps and false intelligence to lead the enemy in the wrong direction. That night, she personally infiltrated the enemy's temporary camp, used torches and sounds to create chaos, and successfully caused the enemy to disorganize. The soldiers praised her for her intelligence and bravery, and Lu Qun knew in her heart that fighting in the wilderness was not only a contest of strength, but also a contest of wisdom, courage, and strategy. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ There was also by chance, Lu Qun displayed ancient weapons and scrolls. The scroll chronicles the tactics of the ancient frontier defenders using runes combined with natural elements. Lu Qun carefully researched and used the energy of the runes to the ingredients to brew a spiritual soup that could improve the concentration and reaction of soldiers in a short period of time. She was secretly surprised by her discovery. The wilderness is not only a test of survival, but can also change the situation of the battle through wisdom and power, and even affect the fate of the entire border. At night, Lu Qun hid the scroll and thought to himself, the future battle is not only against the rebels, but also against the challenge of unknown forces. ______________________________________________________________________________________________________________The camp soldiers no longer just see her as a cook, but as one of the strategic guides. In an emergency, the enemy army appeared again in the valley outside the border, and Lu Qun used runes and terrain to cleverly arrange an ambush. The soup enhances the soldiers' reflexes, allowing them to quickly distinguish the enemy situation in the dark, and finally successfully force the enemy to retreat. The soldiers embraced her after the victory, calling her Guardian of the Wilderness. Lu Qun smiled, but knew in his heart that the true secret of this wilderness had not yet been revealed. Late at night, she stood on a high platform overlooking the camp, feeling the power of the ancient battlefield and the trust of the soldiers pouring into her heart at the same time, determined to protect this wilderness until the last moment. _________________________________________________________________________________________________________ freely. Lu Qun's rune power in the ancient battlefield was used freely, but with it came greater danger. A mysterious force was coveting this border, secretly mobilizing manpower and resources in an attempt to seize the runes and the power she wielded. At night, she received anonymous information pointing to a possible enemy gathering on the barren mountains on the north side of the camp. Lu Qun calmly analyzed the situation, arranged ambushes and vigilance, and personally made fortified soup for the soldiers to fight. When the enemy raided at night, Lu Qun used his runic energy and terrain advantage to throw the enemy into chaos and force them to retreat. The soldiers admired her, and for the first time, she herself felt that the power to control the entire border was gradually forming. In the night sky, the moonlight shone on the wilderness. Lu Qun clenched the soup spoon and knife, secretly vowing in her heart, no matter how fierce the wind and sand are, she will protect this desolate place with wisdom and courage, and become a true border legend. 41. Lu Qun stood on a high platform overlooking the border. The moonlight shone on the wilderness, desolate but full of power. Past challenges, enemy forces, runes, and ancient battlefield adventures echoed through her mind. On this day, there was another change in the barren mountains on the north side. Signals from the enemy gathering indicated that someone was secretly instigating a larger attack. Lu Qun calmly analyzed in his heart, this is the final test. She began to allocate soldiers and resources, arrange ambushes and use rune energy to make fortified soup to improve the soldiers' reflexes and endurance. As night fell and the wind howled, she held a knife and a soup spoon, ready for the fiercest battle. _ 42. On the night of the enemy's attack, Lu Qun personally led the elite soldiers into battle. The runic light flickered in the wilderness, and the spiritual power brought by the soup doubled the soldiers' vigilance. When the enemy charges, she cleverly uses the mountainous terrain and rune traps to lead the enemy into the encirclement step by step. Under the flames, her figure was like a guardian of the wilderness, calm and determined. The battle was fierce, but Lu Qun's strategy worked perfectly. The enemy could not break through the encirclement and had to retreat. The soldiers cheered, and the winds of the wilderness seemed to whisper victory. Lu Qun smiled secretly in her heart, the fate of the border has been firmly controlled by her. _ 43. After the battle, Lu Qun led the soldiers to clear the camp and restore order. The captain looked at her with respect in his tone, Qun, you not only defended the camp, but also our confidence. Lu Qun smiled slightly, but he knew in his heart that this was just the beginning of controlling the border. The runes and unknown forces of the ancient battlefield were still flowing in the shadows, waiting for her to explore further. At night, she stood on a high platform, looking at the starry sky in the wilderness, recalling the journey of 3 years from honoring her parents-in-law to guarding the border. She knew in her heart that courage, wisdom, and patience were the real strength for her to survive and win in the wilderness. _ 44. Lu Qun decided to combine the runic energy of the ancient battlefield with the daily life of the camp to open a new life model. She established rune protection areas to improve soldiers' food and boost their morale and alertness. The soldiers gradually got used to her arrangement, and the wilderness was no longer just a place to live, but a camp full of order and hope. Lu Qun felt for the first time that her existence truly changed the entire border. However, she also sensed that the lurking danger had not completely disappeared. On the barren mountain in the distance, there were still eyes watching in the dark, and she had to stay alert. _ 45. Lu Qun began to train soldiers to use the power of runes for simple defense and tactical drills. She perfectly combined cooking, runes, and tactics, and the soldiers' physical and mental state was significantly improved. During a night exercise, she personally led the team through the maze of the ancient battlefield, familiarizing the soldiers with the terrain and rune reactions, and successfully resolving potential crises. The soldiers were full of trust in her, and the captain sighed, if there is Qun at the border, no one can invade it. Lu Qun smiled, but knew in his heart that the real challenge was not over yet. _ 46. Just as the camp is gradually stabilizing, a mysterious figure suddenly appears, claiming to be a descendant of the guardian of the ancient battlefield, expressing concern about Lu Qun's power. He told Lu Qun that if the rune power is used improperly, it may attract more powerful enemies. Lu Qun pondered. She understood that the power of the wilderness does not belong to one person, but tests wisdom and responsibility. She decided to learn more about ancient battlefields and use her power rationally while guarding against unknown threats. At night, she read the ancient scrolls alone, secretly promising in her heart, no matter how fierce the wind and sand are, she will protect the border and soldiers. _ 47. Lu Qun discovered a hidden treasure trove in the ancient battlefield, which contained ancient weapons and rare medicinal materials. She cleverly combined medicinal herbs with soup to develop dishes that enhance soldiers' physical strength and energy. In the first test, the soldiers reacted sensitively after eating, fatigue dissipated, and their combat effectiveness was significantly improved. Lu Qun was secretly excited. The wilderness is not only a place to survive, but also a stage for her to forge strength and wisdom. Her prestige and influence grew both inside and outside the camp, but she always remembered that with great power comes great responsibility. __________________________________________________________________________________________________________48. The enemy tried to invade the camp again, this time on a larger scale, and there were even lurking insiders. Lu Qun calmly arranged the rune formation in ambush, and personally led the team to face the battle. During the battle, she used fire, runes, and terrain to lead enemies into traps and successfully thwart enemy attacks. In the wilderness night, the wolf's howl and the fire intertwined, and her figure was as resolute as a guardian. After the victory, the soldiers embraced her and called her a border legend. Lu Qun smiled, but she knew in her heart, guarding the border was her lifelong responsibility. _____________________________________________________________________________________________________________ Lu Qun systematized the rune knowledge of the ancient battlefield, trained soldiers to master the power of simple runes, and formed the camp's self-defense capabilities. She not only improves food and manages runes, but also teaches soldiers the use of psychology and wisdom. In the wilderness, soldiers gradually form a tacit understanding, and the camp is like a small kingdom, supported by wisdom, courage, and trust. At night, she stood alone on a high platform, overlooking the twinkling stars of the camp, knowing in her heart that the fate of the wilderness was closely tied to her, and she became the one who truly controlled the land. ____________________________________________________________________________________________________________ rune protection, soldier training, supply management, and the application of ancient battlefield forces, all in order. She sat on the high platform, watching the soldiers keep vigil safely, and her heart was full of emotion. The wilderness is no longer just about hardship and danger, but a symbol of wisdom, courage, and strength. The moonlight shines on it, and the wilderness wind whispers, as if cheering for her legend. Lu Qun clenched the knife and soup spoon, and secretly vowed in her heart, no matter how dangerous the future is, she will guard this border until the last moment. The wilderness, the runes, the soldiers, the ancient battlefields, are closely linked to her name. The legend of the border, created by her, will live on forever.